The estate of Chief Maduabuchi Nwankwo was one of the grandest in all of Anambra State. It sprawled across acres, surrounded by high walls, lush flower beds, trimmed hedges, and imported fountains that glistened under the morning sun. People said only royalty or oil tycoons could afford such a mansion, yet no one really knew who owned it. The property manager claimed the owner was abroad. Staff were told he would return soon, but no one had ever seen him. Then came Ibuka. He arrived one Monday morning in faded trousers and an oversized shirt, a straw hat shielding his face from the harsh sun. He was introduced by the property manager as the new Gardner, replacing old Papa Uche, who had retired. Ibuka went about his duties quietly, digging flower beds, watering plants, trimming hedges. He barely spoke unless spoken to, and even then his answers were short and respectful. Some staff assumed he was from a rural village, probably illiterate. Others didn't care. Except for Nneka. Nneka was the cook, plump, cheerful, and full of stories. She greeted everyone with a smile, from security men to delivery drivers. She noticed Ibuka the first day. His hands were rough, but his movements were graceful. Unlike most gardeners, he paid attention to details, aligning petals, choosing fertilizers carefully. Every afternoon she would bring him a plate of food from the kitchen. "You know go fit chop only air, Gardner, eat biko." Ibuka would thank her with a small smile, never looking her in the eyes. But in contrast to Nneka's warmth was Ijeoma, the housekeeper. Tall, elegant, and bossy, Ijeoma ran the mansion like a military barracks. She often insulted the staff and talked down to anyone she deemed lower than herself, which was almost everyone. When she noticed Nneka giving Ibuka food, she scoffed. "You're too generous with your food, Nneka. He's just a gardener. Let him learn hard life." Nneka ignored her. "A man working in the sun deserves kindness." Ijeoma rolled her eyes. "Kindness doesn't build careers. Men like that don't go far." Ibuka heard it all, but said nothing. He kept tending the garden, trimming leaves with precision and care. He often sat under the mango tree beside the servants' quarters during breaks. Nneka would sit with him, telling stories of her village, laughing easily. One day he looked at her and said, "Why are you always kind to me?" She shrugged. "Why not? You're a good man, even if you don't talk much." He nodded slowly. "What if I wasn't who you thought I was?" She blinked. "As long as you're not a criminal, I wouldn't mind." He smiled slightly. That evening he stood in the master bedroom, alone. The real owner had returned, but no one knew. Ibuka removed his straw hat and wiped his forehead. His phone rang. It was his lawyer. "Yes, Emeka. Sir, are we still announcing your return to the board next week?" "Not yet. I want to learn a few more things first." He hung up and looked around the room. This was his house, his land, his people. But who truly respected him without the title? Over the next few weeks, the mansion buzzed with activity. A new contract was underway to remodel the East Wing, and contractors began flooding the compound. Ijeoma, now even more obsessed with appearances, barked at the staff louder than ever. She gave extra tasks to the junior workers and ensured no one relaxed unless it benefited her own image. But she never dared question the property manager. Ibuka remained in the background, tending to the gardens with a quiet pride. He planted hibiscus along the driveway and trimmed the old bougainvillea near the gate. Under his care, the estate bloomed. One contractor even remarked, "Whoever manages your landscaping deserves a raise." Nneka continued bringing him food, sometimes jollof rice, other times okra soup and semo. He always ate with gratitude. One afternoon, as they sat near the fountain, she asked, "What did you do before this work?" He hesitated, then answered, "I worked in a place with big men, but they only liked what I could give, not who I was." She frowned. Then they were blind. A man should be valued for his heart. He studied her closely. "You say things many people never do." She shrugged. "Maybe because I've been treated like nothing before. I know how it feels." He nodded slowly. "You're the only one who speaks to me like a human being." She smiled. "Then maybe I'm the only sane one here." Meanwhile, Ijeoma began whispering rumors about Ibuka. She told other staff he was likely a criminal hiding from something. She complained that his presence lowered the mansion's standard. One day she caught him washing his hands at the outdoor sink. Use the tap behind the kitchen, she snapped. This one is for staff who handle sensitive duties. Ibuka said nothing, simply nodded and walked away. Later that evening, Ibuka was in the study, scanning through documents his lawyer had delivered earlier. He had received an offer to partner with a top engineering firm in Abuja. He was contemplating expansion. But still, he stayed. His phone buzzed. Ibuka, the property manager said, the owner will visit next week. Should I prep the staff? Ibuka chuckled. Let them continue as they are, no need to change anything. One rainy evening, power went out briefly. Neka had just finished cooking and rushed outside to check on the outdoor freezer. She slipped on the wet tiles, twisting her ankle. Ibuka, who had been nearby trimming hedges in the light rain, dropped his tools and rushed to her side. I'm okay, she said through clenched teeth. No, you're not, he said firmly. He lifted her gently and carried her to the inner staff lounge. Ijeoma saw them and scowled. Why are you carrying her like you're some Prince Charming? He ignored her. You're just a gardener, she snapped. Know your place. He paused, turned slowly and looked at her. Yes, I know my place. Do you know yours? Her mouth opened slightly, stunned. The next day, the property manager gathered the staff. The owner of this estate will arrive tomorrow. Ijeoma, clean the guest rooms. Neka, the main kitchen must sparkle. Ibuka, continue with the front lawn. He likes it neat. Ijeoma's excitement was barely hidden. I must make a good impression. Who knows? Maybe he'll make me head of house affairs. Ibuka smiled inwardly. That night, Neka limped to his corner of the garden with a flask of tea. Even if I'm limping, I had to bring you something. He took the tea, touched. Why are you always so kind? Because I believe in watering good people, just like you water those flowers. He looked at her, heart pounding. Tomorrow the gardener would vanish, and the mansion would meet its true master. The next morning, a strange quietness lingered in the mansion, like the calm before a storm. Neka arrived early, humming as usual, carrying a basket of fresh ugu leaves and tomatoes. She greeted the guards, who smiled unusually wide at her, and she walked into the kitchen to begin her daily duties. But this day was different. Ibuka was already in the garden, dressed in his usual faded overalls and straw hat. He whistled softly as he trimmed the hibiscus hedge near the back of the compound. But his mind wasn't on the flowers. He was thinking of Neka and how her kindness had become a balm to his soul. He knew the time had come. The disguise had served its purpose, and now it was time to reveal the truth. His heart beat faster at the thought of how Neka might react. Would she feel betrayed? Or would she understand why he hid behind the gardener's apron? Inside the kitchen, Neka was chopping onions when Bose walked in. Surprisingly, she didn't sneer or make one of her usual sarcastic remarks. Instead, she watched Neka for a while, then muttered, "You de lucky Shah." Neka raised a brow. "Lucky? How?" "You go soon see. Everything don scatter." Before Neka could respond, one of the junior staff ran in breathless. "Everybody don gather for the garden. Madam Evelyn, call all of us, say, make we come." Nika wiped her hands, puzzled. Something was brewing, and she had no idea what. All the mansion staff gathered in the garden. Chairs were arranged in neat rows beneath the shade of a large almond tree. Neka spotted Ibuka standing beside Madam Evelyn, who had returned from her trip just that morning. The staff murmured among themselves. Ibuka looked calm, almost regal. Gone was the shy posture and hesitant voice. Today he stood tall, as though he had shed his disguise and embraced who he truly was. "Good morning, everyone," Madam Evelyn began. "Today I want to introduce someone very important to you all. Someone who has been observing this house and its workers closely." Murmurs grew louder. "Many of you have worked under my roof for years. Some have shown character, some," she glanced at Bose and Adiwele, "have shown cruelty." She stepped aside. "Let me reintroduce you to Chief Ibuka Umair." The crowd gasped. Bose choked on her own saliva. "Wait." "What?" Adewale stammered, eyes wide. Ibuka took off his hat slowly and stepped forward. "I am Chief Ibuka Umair, the owner of this house and the entire Umair estate." The silence that followed was deafening. "I came here pretending to be a gardener because I wanted to see how people are treated when they appear to have nothing. I have spent the last 2 months trimming flowers, carrying manure, and being insulted. And through all of that, I learned something very important. His eyes scanned the faces. Power doesn't reveal true character. Humility does. Ibuka turned to Bose. Bose, you insulted me, mocked me, and treated me like garbage. I remember when you said people like me should be sweeping the streets, not standing in a rich man's house. Bose tried to speak, but her voice failed her. You are hereby relieved of your duties. I will not have a person with no compassion working under my roof. He turned to Adderwale. You laughed at me, called me useless, and even encouraged others to join in your mockery. You're fired as well. Adderwale's legs wobbled. Chief, I beg. No, you judged a man by his clothes and forgot that the heart is the true measure of worth. Gasps and murmurs swirled through the crowd. Ibuka's voice softened as he turned to Neka. But not everyone treated me like dirt. Neka's eyes widened. You, Neka, you didn't just feed my body, you fed my soul. You saw a man with dirty hands and still offered him food and conversation. You laughed with me. You listened. You gave me something I didn't even know I needed: love. A tear slipped down Neka's cheek. Ibuka stepped closer and knelt before her. In front of everyone here, I want to ask, will you be my wife? The garden erupted in cheers, claps, and gasps. Neka covered her mouth with both hands. Chief, yes. He stood and embraced her. Evelyn smiled and clapped. Let this be a lesson to us all. You never know who is watching. Treat everyone with dignity. Over the next few days, things in the mansion changed dramatically. New staff were brought in, and Ibuka made Neka the head of kitchen operations. Staff morale improved, and the house once filled with tension now bubbled with laughter and warmth. At a private dinner with Evelyn, Ibuka confessed, "This whole experience changed me. I thought I was testing others, but I ended up learning more about myself." Evelyn sipped her wine. Love has a way of revealing the truth. Later that night, as Ibuka and Neka walked hand in hand through the garden, he said, "This garden saved me." Nika smiled. "And you planted more than flowers here. You planted a new life." They stopped beneath the almond tree, where lanterns hung and flowers bloomed in soft light. "Let's build something beautiful," he whispered. "With roots deep and flowers that never fade," she replied.